It's kind of funny when I was going back when Dale asked me if I wanted to participate. My name is Heather Harmon. I'm chaotic. I'm all over the place. My company is. But part of my name is obviously Harmon and harmony. And then I have this insatiable attitude of being positive. And I figured out about a year ago that my blood is B positive. So I thought it does run through my veins. That little harmony thing travels with me everywhere. Everywhere we go, this is actually in the mountains of West Virginia, but I take that harmony into photographs, and it's kind of fun to see how it's been through. It's usually riding in the saddlebag on a motorcycle, which is kind of cool. This was my Mardi Gras trip this year, which we had fun in the architecture, and my parents thought I was insane, but I was taking pictures of everything that was letters, and you could see the harmony in it, but it was everywhere. So I tried to find harmony everywhere I go, and trust me, Bourbon Street was a difficult place to find. What I do for a living is very different than my therapy. This was when we built our house back in 2007. I couldn't figure out what to do with my jewelry. So I took old barnwood and barbed wire that we found on the back acreage. And so this is behind the door, and everybody always thinks it's kind of cool to see all my costume cheap jewelry hanging as art. This was a photograph I took of a barn that's out by me near Lenexa, and I like to take old found objects. I find them from wherever, so when I go to an estate sale, I'm the one that's asking, are you going to tear the barn down? Because that's what I want. So that piece I gave to my best friend who has a barn fetish. This was just components of things that I found. The insulator I found on the highway in Montana. They happen to have lots of that stuff, but that's where my husband's from. So I took those different elements and put them all together and put the art on the wall and sell them to needy homes that just need the art. This piece was done from the copper tiles that were from the Masonic Lodge in Williamsburg. And I have a nautical fetish, so that was just different things that came together. And that's actually hanging on one of my clients' fences in their backyard with its nautical flares. So this is a piece, the same Masonic Lodge piece, but my parents have a little bit, they've been all over the world, and they like a little bit of more of the modern art. So I took old, it always bewilders me that it costs me about $10 to do a piece of art, but they're kind of priceless on the inside when you do it. So my parents loved that one. This was stuff that was, again, it was lying around, and it became, it's a horseshoe that I don't have any idea how old it was, but I have a whole garage full of just found stuff that I just like to build into things. I actually sent that one to my mother-in-law because she sent me wine corks because I had a calling out for those. Again, the nautical thing, that one is hanging in a beach house in, I believe, Matthews now, but these are all the wire across, are all bail straps, which have nothing to do with nautical, but they're wavy and they had motion, and then the sand was actually from the parkway, but I don't know if I was allowed to take it from there, so don't tell anybody. These were pieces that I found in my uncle's farm. They were just laying around. It's all metal. It's great. It weighs a ton because of the back piece. It's a conglomeration of texture more than anything because I love texture. That was one of my finds. It's an old barnwood and their old oxen yoke, and I got that at an auction. I got the pieces at an auction for $5 because nobody else wanted them. So that's my coffee table. I couldn't get rid of it. I couldn't sell it. It stayed in my house, and I love putting my feet up on it every night. So it's kind of cool. That's an old dresser top. That the welcome is a new component, which I don't like to do so much, but sometimes you got to do it, and of course it's the shells and stuff. But I like the fact that it was on the outside of the Lightfoot Antique Mall where you can go around, but I'm the one that's scavenging on the outside trying to find things. This was a piece of driftwood that we found actually in the Outer Banks, and it was an old aluminary that I didn't like anymore, so I soldered it apart, and my husband taught me to use the MIG welder, which was a lot of fun. But, so that one I called Driftwood on Fire. Harmony, again, with our last name and bringing harmony throughout. That one is the moonrise over the farm. My husband grew up in Montana on a ranch, on a 5,500 acre ranch, so it was kind of a piece of all that together. And again, it was just an old barrel that I spread out and used, these were old mason jars from when my grandfather passed away from his house, so it was kind of cool in that respect. But the barn wood and everything, it's an old spring where you put your bed mattress on. So I just cut it all apart, and that actually looks much better when it has real plants growing in it. This was an old window frame. I had it in a shop to sell it. The glass got broken, so I ended up kind of tweaking it a little bit and just using different textures and found objects and stuff. And once the glass got broken out, it's amazingly lighter, so it's done a whole lot of difference. But the old metal pieces and burlap. This piece I had done, it's an old, I guess somebody's lawn fence or something that they had used. And I had done it, and I was at a festival, and the woman asked if I would take the river off of it because she wanted her own viewpoint, which is where they live. So it was the first time I learned I'm never redoing another piece of art for someone. Again, it's just found objects with the luminaries, and we had a ball. We probably picked up 30 or 40 of these things on the highway in Montana before the oil boom. So that was an old funnel and just rusty stuff that I'm fascinated by rust. I don't understand it. This was the first piece that I did. My husband is from the mountains. I have a fetish for the water. The picture was not mine, which means I could never sell it, but I kind of just put all the components together, and we got married under a tree in our yard, so the whole tree concept kind of tied it all together with the old crab basket and stuff. So.